This is a video by TJ's Tools demonstrating a Microsoft Access 2007 database that was created for Kinsella Media. Kinsella Media deals with class action lawsuits, so a lot of the data they track has to do with whatever their ongoing suits are. You'll see that in this particular database, we did not customize this down to the point where the ribbon is hidden or locked down, or any parts of the ribbon are actually modified in any way, because the people who are using this database are pretty well advanced Access users, and they may want to modify their own tables or their own forms. So we made this a pretty basic database, but we did use some of the features that are involved in Microsoft Access 2007. So this is the main switchboard, and of course this switchboard is part of what comes with Access. Some of the data here will probably be masked for you because it is confidential information, but this is the main screen, maintain organizations, and basically they wanted to have a list of organizations, and the biggest functionality in this database is to be able to link one set of organizations to another set of organizations. So there aren't too many tables in this database, and basically these tabs cover all the information about any given organization. So there's 5 tabs. Each of them uses the logo for Kinsella on the tab itself. There's a quick navigation drop down here, so you can get from one organization to another very quickly by clicking on that. As you can see, in general, we try very much to use shortcut keys. So here we have Alt-G would go to general information, Alt-M would take me to memberships, G would take me back, and then all of the different controls on the form also have shortcut keys. For this database, we've also utilized the 2007 functionality of whenever you have a list, down at the bottom you have a special button there that allows you to edit the items that are in that list, and it makes it very easy for the end user to change items. So here's a list of languages. Again, I can click down here, or I can click on the list and right click, and here you have this item here, edit list items, and it brings up the same form. In regards to any functionality that's somewhat unique to TJ's Tools, we have this screen here where they relate one set of organizations to another set of organizations. So in this case they can relate to any number of parent organizations, and again we have this same box here that will bring up a list to edit that list. And with this we can simply click on any number of these, and this is a one-to-many or many-to-many relationship here, and just by selecting these items, those relationships have already been established. If I move to a previous record here, or to the next record now, and then move back, you'll see that those 3 items are already selected. Now that works fine for a short list like this, but in a case like this where we have a very long list where you can actually relate any one of these relationships to any of the other relationships, then we use a different technique, and that is we can simply choose as many as we like here and then click on these up or down arrows, and that brings those 4 items that I just selected into this box, and the items, those 4 items here, no longer appear in the upper box. So it's a mutually exclusive listing going on there. Similarly, I can select any number of these and remove them from this box, which essentially puts them back up into the upper box by clicking on that button. Going back to the switchboard, we have View Data menu, and right now there's only 2 items here, but it allows the end users to see certain amounts of data for them, and these are just for setting up queries in situations where the display might be a little more complicated than what the end user can handle as far as their ability to manipulate Access. For example, although this query, which just shows most organization data, is a standard kind of query, there is one particular part of it that is one that a standard user wouldn't be able to come up with. And that is these 2 queries are actually based on a VBA function. There's parent organizations and related organizations, and that's just where within this one field we are able to show 1, 2, 3 parent organizations, and here we have 6 related organizations. So rather than have a query that shows 3 rows for the parents and then another 6 rows for the related organizations. It just bundles them all together into one field. So we do that sort of thing for our clients. And here on the reports menu we have a standard small list of reports for them to use. One of the features that TJ's Tools sometimes puts into databases is this upgrade database option, and that is where a standard way to create Microsoft Access databases is to split them into a front end and back end, especially when you have multiple users and the back end database where the data is held is on a server. People often have run into corruption problems when you have multiple users hitting a given database on the server, and so the standard solution to this is to split it into front end and back end and put a copy of the front end on every user's workstation. However, that ends up causing a little bit of complexity as far as distributing new versions of the front end, because every single user then has to have a new copy of the front end. And what we found so far with a limited number of users is that you can put the entire database on the server and still be able to have the ability to modify the VBA code and the forms and such offline, and when those modifications have been made, you simply distribute them to the client, and the client runs this upgrade database routine. Now what the upgrade database routine does basically is that it's run from a copy of the database that has no data in it. And when you run this routine, you point to the current copy of the database that does have data in it, and it just migrates a copy of all the data in the current version of the database into the new upgraded version. So for the purposes of this demonstration, if we just pretend that what we're looking at here is a new version of the database that has been worked on offline by the developers, and it has no data in it. And by the way, if you see at the top of the screen here, we always have the version number here in the caption of the program so that the user can report any problems back to the developers in that way. So we're pretending that this is an empty copy of the database, and I click on Upgrade Database and it gives me a message here, and I need to find the current version of the database, which I'll do right now. And I click on Upgrade, and it basically gives me a warning, and then it will copy all the data from the current version of the database into this version of the database, and it's a pretty quick process. And then it says all data migrated successfully, and we're back in action. So that is a demonstration of one of our Microsoft Access databases. Thanks for watching.